Typickým príkladom mediálneho zúfalstva a nenávistí
A typical example of media desperation and hatred was the interpretation of French President Macron's report regarding our meeting in Paris, where he spoke of a strategic awakening. Deniken, SME, and Actuality were tripping over themselves to report that I had supposedly done a U-turn, that Slovakia has strategically awakened. Neither the former nor the latter is true. I do not leak information from confidential conversations. However, I can confirm with all seriousness that the conversation with the French president had exceptionally significant content and concerned the strategic awakening of the European Union. It has been a long time since I had such a conversation about the Union. However, I will never give up the concept of a sovereign Slovak foreign policy oriented towards all four cardinal directions, which brings great investment returns for Slovakia. The lifting of visa requirements, respect for Slovakia for its sovereign stances. I will never make any U-turns at any meeting, regardless of whether it is the Chinese President Xi Jinping, the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the American President Donald Trump, the French President Emmanuel Macron, or anyone else. Slovakia and its interests come first. In this spirit, during the meeting with the French President, I was particularly harsh towards the European Commission and its proposal to halt all gas imports from Russia to Europe. I emphasized the importance of maintaining a dialogue with everyone and my conviction that the European Commission needs a personnel overhaul. How, for God's sake, am I supposed to respect the European Commissioner for Energy, who declared 2 days ago that he is concerned about the European Union's dependence on liquefied natural gas imports from the United States? The very commissioner whose purview includes the approved Commission proposal to stop gas imports from Russia, a decision against which Slovakia voted sharply and against which it is also filing a lawsuit. I recommend that the commissioner read every morning what he did the day before so he doesn't look deranged, and overall when I look at his performance, how he abandoned us after the transit of Russian gas via Ukraine was stopped, how he does nothing about high energy prices, it would probably be more useful if we sat a teddy bear in his chair. The same applies to the so-called Foreign Minister Kaja Kallas, with whom none of the decisive players are talking. And let's not forget that the fish rots from the head down, and a change in the post of the President of the European Commission would be the most successful outcome for everyone. I am glad that the members of the European Parliament for Smer Slovak Social Democracy also see it this way when voting on the confidence in the President of the European Commission. The Slovak government will conduct a dialogue with everyone who is interested, including Cuba. It is not making and will not make any U-turns in foreign policy, and it will not sell its independence and sovereignty, based on strict adherence to international law and non-interference in the internal affairs of others, for any 30 pieces of silver. February will once again be very demanding. We are expecting visits that have already been agreed upon and announced, but there will also be surprises. I am particularly preparing for the informal European Council Summit on February 12th, where we are due to discuss the competitiveness of the European Union, especially high energy prices. I hope that we will finally move from empty talk to action. Otherwise, Europe will become nothing more than a cultural open-air museum for tourists from China.